Now, News Central's Bernard Akede, monitoring the Lagos protest, joins me live for an update. Thank you so much for your time, Bernard. All right, now let's dive in straight. Now, can you just, keep us up to speed as to what exactly is happening now?
Well, basically, I'll say that the protection, the protest, the rally, whatever you want to call it for today, is over at the moment. We can see police officers stepping out of the Lagos State House of Assembly premises. One gate of the two gates has now been shut, signifying that everybody has eventually been moved out, and security operatives are getting into their vehicles and are beginning to leave these premises. The crowd that we had here earlier today that mobilized all the way from Ikeja underbridge down all the way through Ikeja up onto the Lagos State House of Assembly premises has eventually left this place. Now they have passed on their message to the government through the deputy governor. The governor was not around to take the message. The deputy governor was around and he spoke to the crowd saying that their cries have been heard, all the messages have been passed, and that it will be moved to the appropriate quarters. Some, members of the Labour Congress seemed unsatisfied with his response because nothing exactly was addressed except that the deputy governor said the message has been heard and it will be passed to the appropriate quarters.
I mean, Bernard, so what next, right? I can see that behind you there you have quite a number of military, armed personnel. So what next from the secretariat, from the governor's office? What's the next line of agenda?
So the same question I asked certain members of this protesting movement, that what exactly is going to happen next? I said, is it going to be a one-off protest, a one-off march? Is it going to continue? What exactly is going to happen? And the message I received was that for today, it's a one-off march. After today, that's the end. But then that Labour is not going to rest on their oars. They're going to continue to put pressure on the government to meet certain demands. Like you mentioned earlier when we started the news, the increase in school fees for certain federal universities, the hike in petrol price, the lack of functioning, crude refineries, and all of that issues basically that are affecting the citizenry, that they will continue to push. Now, whether or not there will be another protest similar to what we have just seen or more intense than what we have just seen anytime soon, we do not know because nobody responded to that. But all we know is that this protest was a one-off. It happened in different parts of the country, marched to different government houses in different states, and then, of course, passing their message to the federal government.
All right, Bernard, I would ask you once again, since the last time we spoke and now, anything out of the ordinary?
I would pick on a few things that I noticed during the process. Now, at some point, the head of Lagos State Labour was trying to control the crowd and ask that everybody fall behind the banner and that those who do not obey will be picked up by police. That caused some kind of fracas. Actually, some members of the crowd did not like the fact that she threatened them with the police. And there was some scuffle around there, which was quickly settled. Besides that, nothing out of the ordinary happened, except for the fact that certain persons, notable people in the likes of notable lawyer Femi Falana, and then, of course, the former presidential candidate, talking about Obayele Sowore, were here to also air their grievances, give out their voices, and to galvanize, so to speak, the crowd to ensure that people do not forget the challenges that Nigerians are facing and that they continue to push in solidarity with Labour.
All right, thank you so much, Bernard. Stay safe. Also joining me to shed more light on this is News Central's Uzona Onoye, of course, as he sheds more light. Thank you so much for your time, Uzona.
My pleasure.
So let's get straight to it. Now, many people, have expected that the NLC, will review its decision to actually embark on this protest, particularly after the president's broadcast on Monday, where he spoke on various plans of the government to alleviate the pains occasioned by the removal of petrol subsidy. Now, do you think that Labour is properly guided, in this? And also remember some units of the Labour family pulled out, citing possibility of worsening the situation through a protest. What's your take?
Well, this is another demonstration of the trust deficit we have in the system, where the people do not trust the government absolutely. And so when government comes up with to list out plans of what they are going to do or what it is going to do, people still receive it with a pinch of salt. Apart from that, the president's speech on Monday was quite all-encompassing, listing out several things that government intends to do, providing transportation and easing off all the issues that people are faced with as a result of the removal of petrol subsidy. But the real issue is, why did we get to the point of removal of petrol subsidy? We hear that Nigeria in 2022, just last year, spent $9.7 billion in subsidizing petrol alone. And when you hear this number, a lot of people are worried that it is not sustainable. But the flip side of this conversation is that Nigeria is also have also spent, or says that it consumes 67 million liters of petrol per day. But in actual fact, it has been noticed that the consumption level is not more than 42 million. So there's a deficit again of 26 million liters of petrol per day that cannot be accounted for. It leaves the port, they are brought into the country, it leaves the terminals or the ports, wherever it's coming out from, but does not get to the Nigerian people themselves. We suggest that Nigerian government have been subsidizing petrol for the neighboring countries. And if we reason this properly, it will be quite obvious that this is a venture that has to be looked into. But the president on Monday recognized a group of people he described as the elite of the elite. They are nameless, they are faceless, they are unknown, but they are the ones that seem to hold the country at the jugular. Why can't we address these people squarely? Find out who they are, hold them responsible for all the pains that they've inflicted on the country, and then let the poor breathe, in the words of the president. Because if we eliminate corruption, which is endemic in our system, particularly in the oil and gas sector, the Nigerian system may find some leeways of subsidizing petrol. A lot of people have argued that various parts of the world still subsidize crucial items, food, health, education. In Nigeria, petrol is key. And so Labour would find it difficult, having listened to them, different sides of their argument, Labour will find it difficult to just fold their arm and keep watching and waiting until government comes to comes through with all the promises it had made, realizing the fact that people pay 300% more than they pay in transportation. Food prices has increased in every market in Nigeria, in every corner in Nigeria. There's hardly anything that is being sold exactly the same price it was being sold 3 months ago. So the pressure is on the Nigerian people. Yes, NLC is speaking, but the pressure is not just on NLC, but on Nigerian people. So the NLC coming out to protest may not be misguided. It's a proper process. However, there's need for caution to ensure that the protest is not being hijacked, as a lot of people had said, and turn the whole thing upside down.
All right, Uzana, I want to pick you on what you said. The phrase you used, which of course has become, I call it, very, very viral. Now, talking about allowing the poor to breathe, where do you see this particular situation ending? Now, government, has its plans spelled out, and of course, Labour saying they are not far-reaching enough. Now, where is that meeting point that will guarantee stability in the system?
First of all, the let the poor breathe statement isn't mine. It belongs to our president, President Bola Tinubu. He was the one that used the phrase, and it has become popular and common amongst the people in expressing their frustration and their, the difficulties they are facing at the moment. However, the meeting point between Labour and government will be at that round table again, that proverbial, or, I don't know how to express it again, round table where things are always resolved. Government has taken a step, removing subsidy, and then the effect is hitting on everyone. Government has come out to say that it will do several things that it pointed out, spending money in certain areas, but they have not identified the real issue or the real problem that brought us to where we are, which is corruption. The president was completely silent, apart from saying that, referring to that class of people, that privileged class of people he referred to as the elite of the elite, whose personal interest has become a bone on the neck of the average Nigerian. Apart from doing that, the president did not speak specifically on how government intends to curb the corruption that is endemic. Listen, if government fails to do that, all the money that government has voted to spend in various areas will still go the way of all others that have been spent in the past, where over 60% of money, allocated for projects and interventions get missing somewhere. Remember some years ago, during the NSAS protest, there are warehouses where, palliative goods or materials were looted from. Some people used palliative materials as souvenir at the weddings or social functions that they had. And this tells us that the issue of corruption is deep in our bloodstream, and except government addresses it, all the beautiful things that it has pointed out it will do may likely still go the same way. And so, addressing your question, the meeting point is at that round table for government to assure the people convincingly that it means business, and it is not just by words, but by action. And that's the only way that Labour will be convinced that government actually has their well-being in mind.
All right, thank you so much for your time, Ozonna. Now, still joining me on the news on this particular issue of the protest is Marvelous Obomanu in Abuja, who is on standby. Marvelous, thank you so much. Let's, of course, get straight to it. Can you just, keep us up to speed as regards the latest in Abuja right now concerning the protest?
All right, very quickly, when I had that program initially, I told you that the protesters will be moving to the Federal Ministry of Justice. From there, they will be coming to the National Assembly. Now, it was a little dramatic when they got to the National Assembly. The security men on ground actually blocked the gate, trying to prevent the protesters from making way into the National Assembly. But at some point, the protesters, because of the crowd, the heavy crowd they forcibly pushed down the National Assembly gate and made entrance into the National Assembly complex. Right now, as I'm talking to you, the monitor behind me, you see the protesters already in front of the House of the Senate building, waiting for the National Assembly leadership to come out and address them. You can see the former National Labour Congress president and former TC president are already here with the support of what the Nigerian workers are saying. You can also remember that, of course, the president had assured Nigeria that they are working on finding a way to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal by rolling out palliatives. But some of the protesters here said they don't trust the Nigerian government in terms of the palliatives due to what happened in 2019.